guiding light is all I know. Through wood and steel, through fire and lace, I'm blessed to walk within your grace. Am fein is to a throig arcane. You laid the path before me, you guided every step. Raise the hammer, string the bow, her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the glass the dead time it's sore, to find it empty, our greatest fear. By the grace of the goddess we are free. We'll build the land, our hearts within. From dawn till dusk, I work, I strive. With your blessing, I'll survive. The loom, the forge, the sword, the grain in your name, I rise again. Futsa and Nirt, Futsa and Chiel, got Bua, got Tolan, got Trio. In you lies strength, in you lies skill, each victory, each talent, each trial. Great, no skill too small. Your gifts, dear goddess, guide us all. Quando sholas, mila triwar, Ahledulaim, fade our nights into force. Without your light, we have no guide, but with your hand, our place abide. String the bow, her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the grass the dead time it's sore, to find it and tear our greatest deed. By the grace of the goddess we are free. We'll build the land, our hearts within. To walk within your grace, blessed by her grace, forever, forever.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Pax Dei, the Search for Studio, episode 94. My count. Of course, my count video, but let's go on. Today we will be mostly doing tailoring stuff, so I really have to increase it for a build that I'm trying to do, and I might be able to. Let me see if I can slide this over. No, I can't. Okay, so I can't slide it. Other screen over, but basically it is for a let's go show you. So as you get to work and you increase your level 1 blacksmithing, you are able to create craftsman forge parts, and it's basically an upgrade to my forge. I need cotton cord. In the last world I can do it. In this world, not so much. I built everything else, and I have a moderate chance of success. So I built enough for 2 shots at it, hoping that's going to be enough. Once I create that, then I can build the forge, which is... I don't know if they'll show me it yet. I need my hammer to show you this, because I was not prepared. There we go. Somebody moved in. Okay. So when we look at crafting, there's going to be a new forge here. That's just the forge, but I guess I don't know the recipe yet because I haven't crafted the tools yet. So it'll be in the blacksmithing area. As you can see, I have pretty much everything. Now I need quite a bit of other stuff, and I'm hoping that it'll give me the advanced ability in certain steel builds. So in order to do that, I need cotton cord. And in order to get cotton cord, I need to forage. In order to get cotton cord, because I do not have that in my recipe, I'm going to have to level up. So if I plan on this, like everybody should, and as I've taught you in the past, if you go to tailoring over here, I have quite a bit to go, but I think I can do it. Basically, I think here's rough cotton cord is 24. I'm at 27, right? Wool yarn is at 27. I can do that. It's probably like 29 or 30. So I should see it here fairly quickly. So that is where we are at currently. So as I am crafting and I have the blessing for the goddess of foraging, what I want to do is I want to get wool yarn up to easy. Until I have a lot of wool yarn, but until then, I might as well take advantage of the fine linen string, which is just flax. Again, strategy in the game, seeing how quickly you can level up, what is a waste of resources for 2 experience points versus what's a good success rate versus resources, right? So failure versus resources. But welcome. What are we doing tonight? Well, I was thinking last night as I was talking through all the philosophies and sociological studies and the psychology. I went into a brief overview of different philosophers and how we lead. What's the best way to lead in our personal lives and in Pax Dei? So I was like, I took all that and I was like, all right, what about decision-making psychology and game design? It's used all the time. All the time. We use it all the time without knowing it. And you'll learn that tonight. So why don't we do this as we are going through this? Do you consider yourself more rational or emotional? Emotional in decision-making, making decisions. And there we go. And I'll put that in the chat. And then you have a couple options here. You have rational, emotional, mixed, or it depends on the situation. We want to understand how our own biases affect gameplay and real life choices. That's the whole basis of tonight, right? So decision making at its core. A lot of people, one thing you'll find in this channel, I want to go back down to the foundation of words, definitions, and the basics before we move on to advanced topics. Why is that? Sometimes I've noticed, and maybe I'll do an episode on debating and arguments. A lot of times we will, as humans, use a definition that isn't necessarily in line with what we're talking about, meaning we deviate from the definition. We're not really talking about what we think we're talking about. And that's okay. That's part of life, right? But I want to bring it back into, I want to bring the culture back into, all right, let's lock in reason and logical arguments and, come at this and stay on topic. If we float, that's fine. It'll be a mutual discussion between 2 parties or 3 parties or how many people are conversing at the time in order to move or shift the conversation from the original conversation. So decision-making, at its core, at the core of human behavior, it's I should say, excuse me, I wanted to read the definition and I failed. Okay, so take two. Decision making is at the core of human behavior, influencing everything from everyday choices to life changing events. So, games simulate decision making in a structured way. Understanding psychology helps us become better players, designers, and strategists. And I want to really beat the drum on that designers. In game theory, you want to design a game based off of what people you want a game, right? So it literally is in the. So in order to facilitate that, you'll see as we go through this that many of us need to learn game theory itself. And trust me, I this is another reason I brought this up is because I want people to use this in their real life as well. All right. Let's see. All right, so games simulate that decision making, right? Real world tie-ins. Everything we do on this channel, the game, and I'll say this once again: games are the real world. You make as far as your decision making and playing and deciding and stuff. That it's real world implications, right? Because you are in the real game might not, and the consequences might not be real world consequences. Well, see, in a way, they are, right? Not the game consequences, but the psychological consequences are real world. I think there's a subtle difference between the two, of course. However, it is definitely. I do not want to fall. All right. So how companies use decision making, psychology, and marketing, leadership, and negotiations. Interesting, right? Can we tie game theory to that? Maybe. You decide. Let's continue. How game designers use psychological principles to create more engaging, rewarding, and sometimes manipulative experiences. Yeah, we've all been there if we gamed, right? As a matter of fact, I brought up in previous podcasts that certain countries have made laws about games and how they design rewards and daily logins and stuff like that. As they're finding kids become quote, addicted to it, and to a point, there could be some truth to that because studies have come out with addiction like symptoms and games. All right. So we will let's look at the definition and theories of decision making. So what is decision making? We use this, we throw it around. Well, it's a decision making process. Okay. Make good decisions. Oh, okay. All right. I gotcha. Right? So we're all being told to make good decisions. But what is a decision? It's a cognitive process of choosing between different courses of actions. Right? Very simple. I'm going to select that second word and the third. It's a cognitive process. Keep that in mind. It involves perception, logic, emotion, and experience. Okay? I think, there's nothing here too controversial to keep the conversation going, right? I think we're going to all agree on this. So what are the types of decision-making models that come that we derive out of these definitions or what manifests in the real world, right? Well, we have rational decision-making model. And I'm gonna blow your mind, I think, on some of these. Came out in 1955 and is still useful today. I talk a lot about ancient wisdom and knowledge on philosophers in this channel, and I mean it. I really mean what I say when we look at the different times or decades that come up with some of the things we discuss. A lot of this isn't new. It's been thought through in previous forms at previous times. It's our duty, I think, to apply it to our current situation or our current time. It doesn't mean we change the fundamentals of it. I got turned around here. Oh, remember what I said, game tip, pro tip. If you don't take advantage of everything while you're foraging for one specific thing, meaning, can I train in mace? Yes, I can. Can I train in skinning? Yes, I can. So let's do it while I'm doing the gathering, which is kind of it's a function of the game. We'll say, okay. All right, so rational decision-making model. Simon came up with it in 1955. Administrative behavior is what called the study, right? So what did it involve? Well, it assumes that humans make logical, optimal choices after evaluating all available data. That's a big assumption. Well, in 1955, I guess it wasn't. The education system was a little bit different. But today, it's a huge leap. Real world, we use it in economics. We use it in AI. We use it in our AI development for predictive behavior modeling. 1955, supposition, and we're using it in AI. Amazing, right? Then bounded rationality. Well, what is that? Well, Simon came up with that too. I guess he was a thinker. In 1957, he did a study, right? So what did it do? Humans do not have unlimited cognitive ability and time to make fully rational choices. Yeah. In one of my podcasts, I did go over the studies and research papers that I highly advise everybody to understand what they're reading and what is who's paying for it, what exactly is being said. But even Simon back in the day, in he's looking at this and going, you know what, real world applications, or not the real, but logical optimal choices after evaluating all available data. I mean, how often do we do that? Right? I can tell you, not often. Let's see, bounded rationality in 57. Again, son. He seems to be the definitive how should I say it? The definitive expert. So did I? Yeah. Oh no, here you go. Oh no, that was, boy, I'm playing the game and I'm reading my notes, so bounded rationality is that humans do not have the unlimited cognitive ability and time to make fully rational decisions. So in gaming, players often rely on heuristics, mental shortcuts, if you will, instead of optimizing every action. Right? Makes sense. I think we've all done that. There we go. I was hoping I had some room in these These are expensive, and I can't build them yet. I am sad. All right. Let's see. Go into my notes. Dual process theory. Kahneman and Tversky in 1979, called the prospect theory. System 1, fast, intuitive thinking, quick, emotional, instinct-driven. System 2, slow, rational thinking, deliberate, logical, analytical. So if you're looking at FPS games that encourage System 1 things, System 1 thinking, fast reflexes. Well, strategy games encourage System 2 thinking, long-term planning. That example I let AI throw in there, but if you think about it, even FPS games, although they have a System 1 way of thinking, System 2 could be used before you have to implement the System 1. So I would argue that System 2 is the planning phase and System 1 is the engagement phase, right? So what do we look for? Well, we have cognitive biases and decision-making errors, right? So what's a cognitive bias? A lot of people throw this around. What is it? Mental shortcuts that often lead to systematic errors in judgment. That's it. Key biases and their impact in gaming and life. Loss of aversion bias. Kahneman and Tversky, 1979, in the prospect theory. Again, people who fear losses more than they desire equivalent gains. Many if we hoard items, we never use them. We hesitate to sell them or trade them. And how many chests do I have in view right now? It's true, I hoard. I do. Some of the things I don't need, I should go and clean them up. In real life, right? You're home. You hoard items. Some people have an exacerbated mental illness on this, right? And it could be very detrimental to them in the long run. But people just, I'll use that someday, and they just hold on to it, right? It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But that's the loss aversion bias. Availability heuristic. Again, Tversky and Kahneman in 1973. People judge the probability of events based on how easily they can recall similar instances. Boy, that says everything in one sentence. People judge on the probability of events based on how easily they can recall similar instances. For an MMO example, players fear rare boss drops are impossible to obtain because they haven't seen one, despite the statistical probability. Another aspect to this availability heuristic is this person's going to treat me X way because I can recall either they did it in the past in a different situation or somebody else that was similar to them did it in the past. Yeah. Crazy, right? We don't think about this. I mean, most of us are just, we don't have to think about this a lot of times, but I encourage you, now that you're hearing this, that you make the decisions or slow down on your decision making wherever possible, right? All right, let's go on to the next one. Sunk cost fallacy. Arx and Bloomer in 1985. People continue investing in failing projects because they've already put effort into them. So if you what's a good way of saying this? Um, I don't like the example I had AI generate. That's why I'm kind of pausing here. This is why Agile came up. If anybody knows the Agile system of software project management, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. Well, what is Agile? The motto is fail fast. Well, why do you want to fail fast? Because you don't want the sunk costs, right? You don't want to put good money after bad. If something's not working, especially in a particular way you're doing it, you may have you may have spent hours and hours and hours and hours in it. Well, you're sinking all this money into it. You're looking at different, you know, you need to get out of it. You need to get out of the cycle and say, okay, this was a bad idea, so let's change the entire thing. Will it take more time? Absolutely. Will it take more time than infinite time because the other way is not working? I'm going to say no, right? So that is called the sunk cost fallacy. And again, meaning just let it fail. Don't continue to throw good money after bad. You can even say this in relationships too. Because relationships, and you have to be careful on this in relationships. But let's say there's just something that continues to happen even after you address it, even after you talk about it and you agree, and all kinds of things we're providing, right? In the discussion. There's a point in time where you gotta say, I love you, but I can't do this anymore. I'm losing every battle, and I'm not able to win. I can't even break even, right? So the sunk cost fallacy could be used there as well. When is it time to just say enough is enough? Again, relationships, computer games, just in general, any decision in life. Let's see. It would be interesting, actually, now that I think about it, to see what the machine learning or neural learning nets for AI, if it actually does a sunk cost fallacy analysis on problem solving. So if it looks at a problem, right, and it's trying to calculate it, and it's starting to take too much time for the AI, does it simply say, okay, I'm going to abandon the way I've been thinking about it and do think about it from a different angle, from a different one of the paths I did not choose. It'd be interesting to find out, honestly. I was wondering if I was going to get that one. These are really hard to get because you could fall to your death. But I tried anyway. See that little jump there? Yeah. You gotta watch your endurance as well. Can't believe I got all of them. That's crazy. All right. Let's see where the other ones are. The beasts should be on like a 20-minute timer, but seems like the beasts are on the timer that is faster. It's weird. Not that I mind. I mean, it's skinning and mace work for me. Confirmation bias. Nickerson, 1998. People seek information that confirms their existing beliefs while ignoring contradictory evidence. That's I've done that before. You just dig your heels in and say, there's nothing to see here. Yeah, it's raining. No, it's not. That's the old adage for confirmation bias, right? It's a sunny day, but you're getting wet. It's raining. No, it's not. Players believe their strategy is the best and dismiss other suggestions after repeated failures. That makes sense, right? If you find out that your strategy is not working out and somebody goes, "Hey, you do this, do this," and you're like, "No, that is better, right? Mine is better." Did you complete what you needed to? The answer is no, you didn't. So follow somebody's advice. Confirmation bias. A lot of people use that in news articles. Believe it or not. News articles and oh my gosh. I am just like totally spacing out today. I lost the goddess's blessing, but I've been using blessings pretty much all day. So not really I don't think I can afford another blessing. That's all right. Continue. Almost full anyway. There I am. Full. Head back home. Overconfidence bias. Moore and Healy in 2008. I've never heard of this. All right. People believe they are better than they actually are at predicting outcomes. I can totally solo this boss. Moments. And then you die. Overconfidence bias. It can also be at work and in your life. I can change him or change her. That's overconfidence. What else is overconfidence bias? I think the overconfidence has to be into a impossible feat, maybe, because there's certain. I mean, you need to be confident, right? I totally missed that jump, huh? Sometimes the game is like this, and it's okay. Here's my overconfidence bias. I'm going to make level 40 in every skill. That's an overconfidence before early access. I don't think there's any way I'm going to do it now that I'm reading game theory. All right, so let's talk about game theory in decision making in games. So what is game theory? We've been talking around it. It's a mathematical framework for strategic interaction between decision makers. So we use it in economics, military strategy, AI, multiplayer games. We use it more than that. We use it in relationships. We use it in our day to day. And I'll follow that up. I'll prove that out as we learn more about game theory. So the concept, the Nash equilibrium, coined the Nash equilibrium because John Nash in 1950 came up with it. The ideal strategy in competitive environments where no player has an incentive to deviate. So if you have a balanced PvP encounter in MMORPGs, where all strategies have a counterplay, right? The ideal strategy in competitive where no player has the incentive to deviate. What's another Nash equilibrium if you think about it? The ideal strategy in competitive environments where no player has an incentive to deviate. Let me think about that as we move on. Prisoner's Dilemma by Flood and Drescher in 1950. It shows how individual rationality can lead to worse outcomes for everyone. Guild betrayals in MMOs, choosing between loyalty and personal gain. Man, that one hits close to home with EVE Online. We had a couple people that betrayed the clan after the trust was provided. The min-max strategy. A lot of role players are chuckling now. But von Neumann came up with this in 1928 and actually coined it, the min-max strategy. Or mini-max strategy. Choosing the option that minimizes potential worst-case losses. So defensive play styles in competitive gaming, turtling in strategy games, or camping might be a mini-max strategy. And I just hate those all around. So how do you apply this to game design? Well, how the designers use decision-making psychology, there's four key ways, right? Risk versus reward. How devs use loss aversion bias to keep players grinding. Randomized rewards. We got loot boxes, gotcha games. I'm sure we can come up with a list of 20 on that. Why variable reinforcement schedules create addiction, right? And this is a randomized reward, right? The psychology of multiplayer choices. How games like EVE Online or survival games thrive on social dilemmas. So the stress between people, right? EVE Online is mostly war decking, corporate to corporate fighting, especially in nullsec. If you're familiar with the game, that's the lawless sector. Wow. Did all of that. Okay. Wow, used all. Ooh. We'll go for another round of flax. I want to see how many times I'm going to have to do this. And I will show you what it looks like to have minimized grace. Meaning, I've spent money. So if I have 20. Oh, I can probably do this one more time. All right, let's do it. I think I spent 60 today. 60 grace. That is a lot of grace. That is a whole lot of grace. Holy lot. I'm trying to put in that joke there. It's not going to work. Okay. So, with all that said. So we also have moral choices in RPGs, right? So if you look at the designers use cognitive biases to make ethical dilemmas harder, right? What's right and wrong? Let's make this ethical dilemma. The utilitarian argument. Do you kill 100 people to save one? Or do you save the 100 people and kill the one, right? There's no good answers in life, right? And in games, they want to kind of provide those same difficult decisions, because in those difficult decisions, knowing it's a game especially, we can kind of enjoy it more. We become the hero, right? No matter what the outcome is. We might be the brooding hero for sure, but we're not it's not as black and white, right? All right, let's see. So how do we improve decision making skills in games and life? Well, the first thing we would probably do is use slower thinking practices. And let's see. It's basically the System 2 activation. Remember that System 1 and System 2 we talked about, earlier tonight? That's what we're talking about here, is System 2. Take a step back before making a snap decision. In Wei Wu, we talked about that this week, you would simply take a breath. Take a deep breath. Just let it out. Let it out, right? Just come to terms with the decision that you're about to make, right? Deliberate practices. Study high-level players' decision-making in games. And this is what differentiates casual players from pro players. We used to, at least in my past, I used to play football even in high school. And what we did when the advent of affordable video technology came out, we would film the games, and then after the game, we would review the films. And we would see or try to look at habits from our opponents, how they started off, how they faced each other, how they faced the opponent, right? How they were going to face you. These are all things you can do in a game, especially with Pax Dei. Because Pax Dei is one of those games where you might be able to ask somebody to go along in their party and say, look, I might not need to be in your party, but I'd like to follow you to this area and see how you traverse it, how you navigate it, right? And Pax Day, I haven't met really somebody who's negative. Like, no, I'm not going to let you come along. I would probably see more people say, yeah, you can come along, but I'll be in the middle of stuff, so please don't take any of my stuff, and I'm going to have to decline to help you if you do get in trouble. I could see that happening. But that's an upfront conversation you can have with somebody, a pro, if you will. There's plenty of pros. There's pros at combat, there's pros at gathering, there's pros at Zebian fighting, there's pros at not Zebian fighting, Inquisitor fighting, because there's subtle differences. There we go. Notice my green edition because I have brace activated. And so these would have respawned by now, but it doesn't look like it. I knew that guy did. I took the run of that one, that's for sure. There's some down here, so let's get these. Mindfulness training. What is that? Shapiro et al. Meaning there's a lot of people on that study. More than 3. So in 2006, what did they find out? Mindfulness meditation reduces impulsive decision making. That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that, honestly. The meditation part. Mindfulness meditation reduces impulsive decision making. So, improving decision making skills in gaming and life. What were the three that we went over? Or four, excuse me. We went over slow thinking. Oh, three, excuse me. Slow your thinking practices. System 2 activation in the technical term. Deliberate practice, right? Deliberate practice. And mindfulness training. So how game design can encourage better decision making? Let's go into that. Better UI or UX. Oh yeah, games can help players avoid a bias by providing clear, contextualized information. Yes, the GUI and the UI and the UX are incredibly important. Take time to make good decision on crafting your UI and UX for players. Please do. Organizational psychologists used to be able to do that. I don't know what they call them today, but I was going to go into organizational psychology. It's a big deal. They study human behavior and how humans interact with their surroundings in technology. What would be the best place to put a button, right? These are all part of a organizational psychologist's determinations. And in doing so, it seems that a better UI UX would definitely enhance decision making. So what would that look like in real life? Put in the chat if you think about it, or comment section. Yeah, I get so many. 500,000 experience points. All right. So let's see, encourage system 2 thinking. So more turn-based or strategy-driven mechanics instead of impulse-driven choices. I wouldn't say it in that way. I would say use system 1 and system 2 not interchangeably, but in concert with one another. If you can encourage system 2 or slow down their thinking, and have them plan for the encounter that they're going to travel to hopefully succeed at, then I would say system 2 and then system 1. Encourage that ordered thinking, right? So, and in real life, or in normal everyday life, I should say, what would you equate to a better UI UX? Let's do this. Let's do this. Oh, and I missed one here for game design. Ethical game design. How designers can build experiences that promote thoughtful decision making. But yeah. So it seems like fairy tales, or the tale of the ants and grasshoppers, right? The ants worked all summer to get ready for winter, and the grasshoppers were having fun doing whatever, and then winter came, they all died. The original one, not the fairy tales that we craft into movies where everybody shares. No, grasshoppers died and the ants lived through the winter. All right, so let's look at this in a little different light. So, better UI and UX in your life, in everyday life. You can say clarity and contextualized information. So in game design, we already talked about it, right? At work, Work environments that prioritize clear communication and intuitive workflows lead to better decision making and higher productivity. So essentially, you're looking at dashboards and reports in business, which should display key performance indicators or KPIs for those in the lingo, those in the know. And in an easily digestible format, just like a game's UI, which would help players track resources and progress toward their objectives, right? So this is why I brought the MMORPG up in LinkedIn, and I wrote an article about how it could help leaders, right? Well, it can help everybody, because and I try to do this at work myself, if there's not a process that is easy, intuitive, I try to get all the stakeholders together to make one that is. I think it's very important that we interact with our real world. We put more planning in the interaction of a game world than we do in real world applications. Is that nuts? Is that crazy? So encourage clear and structured communication in emails, presentations, and meetings. Avoid information overload. Structure the reports like a well-designed game UI. Focus on important data first, and everything else second, and even tertiary. Second and third. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. How can you do that in your personal? Well, I'll just say it. I'll just say it bluntly. We often make poor decisions due to unclear, misleading, or missing information in our daily interactions. It's as simple as that. Yeah. No, I think everybody knows that at some level. So it's not like a surprise when I say that kind of stuff. This way. There we go. Alright, reflecting. Alright, so personalized. So here's a big one, right? Personal budgeting. Budgeting apps, if you haven't noticed, the apps themselves have been more tuned to a gaming UI. It makes sense, right? So you show your spending habits, projected savings, upcoming bills to help people make better financial decisions, right? And doing it in a gaming way will provide, well, not a gaming way, but when you're looking at it in that type of vein of data consumption, you're able to make more or better decisions throughout the day or the pay period, right? Some apps even go out to your bank and download your statement so it can categorize your spending and show you right away what you've been spending on. Sometimes you have to go in there and you have to modify the data, right, in order for the database to report the correct view. And as many of us know who are listening, garbage into a database is garbage out of a database. So we have to be careful as well in what data or how we input the data, or it won't give us the correct information, and thus our decision making would be diminished for a more correct decision, right? I'm not going. It's not worth it. I almost fall every time. Maybe I'll do some rules soon. It's because this is getting tedious. Oh my God. Maybe. What else is around here? I'm gonna have to run for a little bit. Okay. So here's some ways to help you in your daily life, right? So organize your daily goals and tasks with clarity using checklists or digital planners. Now, a lot of people are going to say, that's a lot of work to put it in a planner. Yeah. Yeah. I am not going to lie to there. I'm not going to blow smoke up your nose on that one. But if you want to complete things in a timely manner and actually complete them, because you might not remember to complete them unless you write them down. Let's see, optimize decision-making environments in your daily life, right? Well, how does that work? Well, keep track of important personal information like fitness goals, reading lists, or project deadlines with structured dashboards or visual tools. Now, I can hear a lot of you, and you're not even here right now. I can hear it, and I agree with it. A lot of work goes into those things. Yeah. But you'll be better off for it. And it will slow your mind as well. Remember how we want to slow down our decision-making process? Our thinking in general, we want to slow it down a little bit. This is how you do it. If I have to enter something into a planner, or I have to create or take time to input it into that same planner, then it makes sense, right? That I can, wow, that was, the blessings are good. This speed is really good. I put a 3-minute cooldown. Sucks. That's right. We can slow down. Get it? All right, let's look at the system 2 thinking. So if we think about system 2 thinking at work, encouraging system 2 thinking in the workplace leads to better planning, risk assessment, and long-term decision making. Let's say project management and risk assessment meetings should be structured to allow deep analysis before major decisions. I'll go one further than that. When you're calling a meeting, ensure you have the data to review prior to actually calling the meeting. If you don't have all the data, then the meeting is going to be wasteful, especially if you're trying to apply system 2 or make decisions based on all the available information. Encourage teams to pause before making major decisions. For example, implementing a 24-hour rule before sending out an important email, or using data-driven discussions instead of gut reactions. Brainstorm multiple solutions rather than impulsively acting on the first idea that comes to your mind. This one is kind of near and dear to my heart because brainstorming is really cool if you do it correctly. If you don't do it correctly, and a lot of people don't use brainstorming the way you should use brainstorming. Maybe we'll go over that. Brainstorming in and of itself. Here, let me All right, so I just asked the AI. It's like, how do you do brainstorming right? Because I know how to do it. I just want to see how it explains it, because it might be a pretty good way. And of course, it over explains, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. So let's see. All right, so all right. Yeah. All right. So brainstorming is not just throwing out random ideas, right? People think, just random. No, it's not completely. It's a structured process that combines free thinking, critical analysis, and group collaboration to generate creativity and high value solutions. So what do you want to do in the right environment for brainstorming? Well, you want to define a clear goal. Be specific about the problem or topic you're brainstorming. And remember, this relates to your personal life. Instead of how do we improve engagement, ask how do we increase our podcast audience by 20% in 3 months? See the difference? Vague, specific. Create a judgment-free zone. Ideas should flow freely without fear or criticism. This is one of the most important aspects of brainstorming. And side eyes are not allowed either. Your physical manifestation of what you're thinking, please hold that as well. So so encourage wild ideas. Innovation often comes from the most unexpected thoughts. And that's true. When you hear the most unexpected thought come out, you as the leader and everyone in the room can basically review that thought, even though and try to attach it to what you're talking about. Choose the right people. You want the most diverse thinking people in there. Diverse perspectives. You'll get more creative solutions. So if you're looking at game design brainstorming, involve developers, artists, and community managers, not just the designers. Use the right tools. Whiteboards, mind mapping software, sticky notes, or virtual tools like Miro, Notion, or Google Jamboard. They can help with the visualization to help to visualize the connections. So a couple of different effective brainstorming methods. So you have free association. So rapid ideas generation. It's best for unfiltered creativity and breaking mental blocks. So if you have a writer's block, this is free. Set a timer, 5-10 minutes. Write down any idea that comes to mind, no matter how crazy. Don't judge or refine, just list. And what I really hear is, this is going to cost too much. I don't want to write it down. No. Nobody's talking cost right now. Don't talk cost. Let's just write it down. We'll figure it out later, right? I had some. That's so much string. And of course I failed that one because reasons. Wow, that's bright. Oh, I know what I do. I'm just take these in space. I need to kind of increase my experience point gathering. So let's see what happens. Okay. So if you're brainstorming ways to improve an MMO gameplay, write things like underwater city expansion, NPCs with real AI personalities, player-driven government systems. Just start throwing out ideas. There's also a scamper method to brainstorm. Modify the existing ideas. This is best for existing concepts, such as that's what scamper stands for. So substitute. What if we replace X with Y? Combine. What if we merge two ideas? Adapt. How can we modify this for different use? Modify. What can we amplify or reduce? P is put to another use. Can this solve another problem? Eliminate. What if we remove something? And reverse rearrange. What if we flip it, right? So if you're brainstorming a better clan system in the MMORPG, you can substitute instead of guild leaders. What if the guild had elected councils? What about the combine? Merge PvE and PvP progression systems for unique ranking systems. What about modify? What if clans had territory control like real medieval houses? That would be interesting. And of course, another tool in the brainstorming toolbox is mind mapping. Visualizing the connections, best for organizing complex ideas. We start with the central idea, new podcast topics. Then you branch out with related concepts, leadership, gaming strategies, philosophy. Expand each branch into smaller, more detailed ideas. You can use Miro, Xmind, Notion, whiteboards, Google Jam, I think it's called. What else can we do with brainstorming? We can role storming. Think like someone else, essentially, basically a role playing. Best for gaining fresh perspectives. Step into another person's shoes. How would they solve the problem? Examples. How would a child solve this? Simplifying the problem would be the path you'd be taking. How would a hacker see this? Finding weakness. What would Sun Tzu do? Strategic approach, right? In gaming, what if you design a game as if you were a historian, a psychologist, or a physicist? So you just roll storming. You do the what ifs, essentially. And then one other idea of brainstorming sessions is the worst idea method, reverse brainstorming. It might be called in some circles. Best for finding hidden flaws in creative solutions. Instead of asking for good ideas, ask, what is the worst way we can solve this problem? And flip those bad ideas into solutions. So if you have to, an example of this would be brainstorming how to keep MMO players engaged. Bad ideas could be make everything pay to win. And then you flip it. Find ways to reward effort over spending. Or the worst idea, make leveling painfully slow. You flip it. Introduce meaningful progression without grinding. There are happy mediums in there. We're not talking about the ideas themselves. I'm proposing the examples. Wow, I went through all that wool already. This is gonna be awesome. I might have some more. I have wool like everywhere. There was a time when I was sorting. I didn't throw any wool away. None. Alright. Let's see how much wool I brought over from the other world. Oh, quite a bit. Wow, that's not a lot. I thought I'd have more. That's all right. We'll do it. We're wasting it. We're not hoarding no more. All right, so refining and evaluating ideas. So when you group similar ideas together, you look for the patterns. Some ideas connect or complement each other. But prioritize high impact, low effort ideas first, the 80-20 rule. Now apply the 10-10-10 rule. Susie Welch came up with this. Ask, how will this idea affect us in 10 minutes? How will it affect us in 10 months? How will it affect us in 10 years? This helps balance short-term excitement with long-term impact. And then the prototype and test at small scale, right? Don't just discuss it, experiment with your best ideas. The MVP, minimum viability product approach. Try one small change before implementing the full system. If brainstorming new podcast segments, try a 5-minute trial run instead of committing to a full overhaul. So those are at work, right? And in the game. But what about in personal life? Well, actually, let's do. There's one here that I saw at work that I want to. If you use the scamper method for problem solving, encourage no bad ideas session before refining. But the team collaboration, have each person think from a different perspective: a customer, an investor, a competitor. Product innovation, run a worst idea session to expose hidden weaknesses. I like that last one. That's why I wanted to mention it to everybody. Well, what else are we doing? Well, decision making. In personal life, use role storming. What would a mentor do? Apply the 10-10-10 rule before major life choices. Creativity and hobbies. Brainstorm new skills to learn by writing wild ideas first, then filtering. And then with your problem solving, instead of how do I fix X, ask what would make X even worse, then reverse engineer a solution. So just takeaways on the brainstorm. It's a process, not just throwing out ideas. Make structured techniques, scampered and mind map, or scamper mind maps, and with unfiltered creativity. Use bad ideas to find great ones. Apply 10-10-10 rule to ensure lasting impact. Test ideas in small steps. Don't overcommit before experimenting. The best ideas often come from unexpected places. Be bold, be open-minded, and most important, take action on what you brainstorm. So, going back to our main topic, I thought I'd throw that in there because a lot of people don't understand the true nature of brainstorming. They think it's, just coming up with random ideas, right? I was hoping this would finish, but this is going to waste so much wool fiber. But, oh well, I'll just have to go out and get more. Moderate is one of those things that you'll get about 50% yield. The cotton is all the way down in the wetlands, and that's really far south, so I don't want to go get cotton. Wow, I am failing a lot more than I'm succeeding on wool. It's interesting because some things I don't fail this often with, and some things I fail this often. Yeah, I fail like at least every time. And I have 294,000 to go. Jeez, this is gonna take forever. This is only getting me 3,700. When I do fine linen string, and it gives me about 3,200 to 3,500. So technically, I'm just wasting wool here, but that's all right. I had it to waste, so I hope you enjoyed a lot of the discussion we had here. One of the things I'd love to hear back from you is what's the worst decision you've ever made in a game? And then Also, reflect on how your biases influence your decisions. Very interesting stuff coming out of these discussions, but decision making is not taught enough because people think, oh, decisions just happen. People figure them out. It's one of the things that really irritates me about raising kids. Like when I raise my kids, and I hope you do the same, critical thinking, question authority, do your research, base your decisions on facts, not emotions. If you have to make a decision and it's wrong, don't kick yourself, right? We're all human. If we make a decision and we're like, crap, I should have never made the decision, evaluate it a little bit. I mean, don't dwell on it, but evaluate it. Like, why did I make the decision so quickly? Could I have taken a moment to step back and breathe? Right? And use Wu Wei as well. Go with the flow. If you're forced to make a decision, maybe Wu Wei would be able to help you. Let's not fight. Let's move with the flow of nature, right? This is all aspects that you can evaluate your decision making on. Maybe write down the decision. And we mentioned this earlier in the podcasts, but you might not have been able to listen back then. Vin Gang mentions, he's a communications expert. He mentions that you should be writing down at least a story a day. And what you do with these stories is you put them in your back pocket. And why would you do that? Well, you would do that because in interviews, people are going to ask you stories of how you problem solved, how you did this, how you did that. Well, personal problems are the same as work problems. So if you have no relevant work problem, just tell them a personal problem that you solved. There's nothing wrong with that. And your skills with your personal problem are going to be directly affecting work anyway. Meaning the way you think is what they're trying to get at, not necessarily that you solved the problem successfully or not. And that's another aspect to this that a lot of people are unaware. Crap. I'll pick up that. I didn't want to do that, but it's fine. Whatever. So, yeah, consider that with write down your stories, and then put them in the star format. Right. For those of you who I always forget the acronym, but I'll throw it in AI real quick and get it. All right, so your star format is, wow, the AI is taking a long time tonight. Situation, task, action, and result. So you want to set the stage, which is situation. What was happening? What was the context? Who was involved? What was the challenge? Then you want to task. You want to define the challenge or goal. And then, well, like what needed to be done? What was expected of you? What were the stakes? Action. Describe what you did to address the challenge. The steps you did take, what steps did you take? What decisions did you make? What was your reasoning? and then result. Explain the outcome and impact. What was the final outcome? What was the learn? What was learned? What was changed because of that learning? Now, one thing we've gone over tonight is the decision-making process. So one thing you can bring into the STAR method that they may not expect is the actual decision-making terminology. Like, I had to use system 1 here because of the information that was provided to me and the emotional, the emotional timetable. They'd be like, system 1, and then you go, system 1 is based off of using all available knowledge, but making a quick decision based off of what you have in front of you. And they went, is there another system? System 2 is more long-term decision making, where you are, and you go into it, and you may impress them because now you're learned, if you will, in the decision making process, right? So they're getting more in-depth knowledge from the interview, right? Yeah, this person has really dived into decision making and how decisions should be thought through in different ways to determine, or function as decisions are provided. I mean, I would be impressed if a candidate came up to me and said, yeah, I was like, oh, well, how did you make that decision? And they're like, oh, well, I used system 1 because this, and this, and this. I'm like, okay. So you've studied decision making. And that's part of why this podcast exists as well. Because you're going to want to study these things that people don't study normally. Or if they study, they've studied them so far in the past that they didn't associate with the current times, right? Or with job interviews. I'm telling you, I'd be completely impressed if somebody not only said what decision they made and why, but added the terms of how decisions are actually made and why they chose a certain decision-making technique. Come on now. In gaming, it's the same, right? If somebody came up to me and said, "Yeah, I'm going to do this because of this, this, and this," I'm like, okay, I guess. Why? And they were like, well, with all the available information, I'd be like, ooh, I like this guy. I like this girl. Why? Because they're thinking through stuff. I don't have to rely on somebody's gut instinct or somebody who can't explain how they got to a reason. That's another thing. People get impressed when people can explain their reasoning. They're not sitting there and going, I just did it. Well, how'd you do it? And if they did look all, they did the analysis and they did all this stuff, then, they're just downplaying their own intellect or their decision-making ability. And I would feel disappointed in that person if they just said, no, I made a decision. And because people learn off of decision making of others, right? So if somebody said, yeah, I just it was a gut reaction, I did it like this, and I'd be like, man, I could never do that. Well, and I try because obviously that's the way to do it because this person was successful, right? But now you are, my audience is completely in the know of how to make a decision. Wow, somebody was around here and killed the board and didn't even skin it. That is the weirdest thing to me. I don't know why they didn't skin it, though. Well, I will skin it. Oh, it's live for another 25 seconds. See if anybody's around. Nope, nobody's around. Weird. I don't want any of this. They can come back and get their own crap. But yeah. But yeah, decision making in a nutshell, I suppose. Both get in game. Like I always associate, the in game is just like work, is just like real life. Because at the end of the day, this is your life. Whether you're playing a game at work or just doing chores or doing anything, this is your life. I mean, if you don't want it to be your life, then you have a choice to make, right? Here's a decision-making opportunity. But I think everybody enjoys relaxing. I think everybody likes to understand where, or try to make as good decisions as possible. Right? I've been talking to my wife about a couple things, and we've been going back and forth, brainstorming, right? She's great. She's bringing up some valid points. We're both checking each other's bias, confirmation bias, right? Like, wait a minute, hold on. And I'm like, yeah. Be honest, and that's the biggest, that's another factor to this entire evolution of humanity that we're going on. We need to be honest with one another. And why do I say that? It's just right to do. And B, if people are if you're trying to get followers and people are trying to follow you, wouldn't you want them to do exactly what you've done, or attempt to do it, or do it better than you, right? Jealousy is a big thing. Jealousy, envy. I mean, sometimes when you're talking about jealousy and envy, especially, people seem to just they seem different, right? They pull the ladder up. I hate when people do that. It's absolutely infuriates me. I've made it. Now I can remove the ladder that helped me get to where I am, so no one else can get here. It's like, okay, I suppose. I suppose, I guess. And it's just, to me, it's defeating on the human level. Gluttony is just a deadly sin, right? So could it be that gluttony is playing a part in that pulling the ladder up stuff? Yeah, I'd say yeah. Human behavior is big. That's why I started. That's another reason, just a myriad of reasons, a mountain of reasons that I started the channel, is I want people to grow, be better than, well, and I caution on the use of the word better. I don't think we should be better than one another. I think we should do what how should I say it? Be the best versions of ourselves. I listened to a YouTuber years ago. I don't know where he is now. He's not on my feed, so he must have stopped. To be the best version of yourself. And if that means learning off of somebody or teaching somebody, and they may surpass you in that area of instruction, okay, that's all right. But be the best version of yourself in that vein, right? I think that is the
the real purpose of this channel, try to get that message out. I know that I have about 11 or 14 subscribers, and I thank you to all of you. And if you come upon this, like, subscribe, comment, let's have a conversation. This is not a one-sided teaching session. And I'm not right all the time, and I can admit that. I don't mind being wrong. One of the you'll know as we go through this this journey together, failure is celebratory. It's not punitive. I don't beat myself up for failing. I beat myself up for failing more than twice in the same exact way because I haven't learned, right? I haven't applied those techniques that I should have learned from the first failure. Cognitive bias, right? Or in this chapter or this episode of the story of Empire, as you saw, I did all the wool. That was just me being I was just throwing wool away. I should have kept going out for fine linen, or getting the linen, or the flax fiber. Why? Because I'm getting just as much experience points, and I'm not wasting material. There's 3,600. I was getting that with wool yarn. So, did I get some? Yeah, I got some wool yarn, so that's cool. For the most part, I should have just kept wool flax because I'm really digging into the tailoring a little bit more with the flax than I am with the cotton, which is really far away. And, so here's my reason, right? I'm looking at my decision making, and I shouldn't have done. Okay, moving on. Don't dwell in the past. It's not worth it. Unless you can time travel into the past. Which I do. Yes, I'm going through my conspiracy hat. I do believe that's possible. A lot of people are like, it's not possible. Time, space. Time and space. Space moves. You gotta accommodate for the movement in time. You gotta accommodate for the movement in space. So space is location. Right? So anyway, that's another conversation for another day. We can have some fun with it. Oh boy, I am really casting a wide net tonight with the amount of. Sometimes I go into the wrong chest. I thought I saw another flax, but not a thing. Oh, I highly encourage you to check out my videos as well, my music videos. They're pretty cool. At least I think they are. I made them, so I like them. No, I'm kidding. There's I have 4 songs out now. I have Closer Than I Knew. That's alt rock. I did a blues rock, which is Shadows and Shackles. I did the Murmurs of Desire, which is getting a lot of play. So thank you for those of you who are watching that multiple times. And I have the new one that just came out, Groove Through Life. I thought it turned out really good. It's a good song too. Short, but good. It's a good song. And then of course the other aspect to the game, or the I'm working on another video. It's probably going to be country. It's called which one was that? It was I'll announce it later. But yeah, it's a I feel it's a good one. I want to see if they grew over here or not. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. But yeah, there's a music channel, music station. I'm not just using the ancient philosophies and applying them to the leadership today, and I do have a work or a more what do I call it? Yeah, career work on LinkedIn. I have articles that go through different philosophies and philosophers and how to kind of join them into today's leadership, right? Or you're effectively creating how you should use these philosophies in your work life, right? Especially if you're a leader. I believe that there are a lot of tools in the toolbox, or you should have a lot of tools in the toolbox. Many people don't, and that's not good. Let's get this way. I only have 3 minutes. I don't know if I'll be able to, maybe. There we go. All right. Get juiced up. That's syrup. Blackberry syrup. I still gotta get my cooking up so I can make the elderberry syrup. Maybe I'll work on that tomorrow during the podcast. Because I will not sleep until I get my tailoring up to 28. This is the life of a solo player in Pax Dei. You will be going around to basically everywhere. A lot of people, I would say, once again, the developers are not looking for players like me. They are looking for collaborative clans that, or areas that will shift into the professional versus combatant dynamic. Honestly, I think this game is well aligned for that, and they shouldn't change it, because once they change it, they're going to change the dynamics of the game. And if they do change the dynamics of the game, it won't play the same. Not meaning I'll abandon it, but I'm hoping their decision making does not alleviate the fun that could be gotten by the players as a whole, because the players could control the world in a way that other MMORPGs aren't. And what do I mean by that? Well, I said before, Adventurers Guild could actually become a thing in this world. Well, why? Well, how? Well, guilds could go out to the professions and say, hey, I got this for a couple of gold, for 10% of the gold provided, we can get adventurers to go get what you need, bring it back, and then we'll pay them for you, we'll exchange the goods to you, and we'll do this all for 10% off the top. Or you could be that farmer that goes out and seeks the adventurers. That's possible. The other aspect of this game that I love is, once you create a party, you don't necessarily have to create a clan. You could be a group of adventurers that are just out and about, that live next to each other, and every once in a while you go and I thought he was going to attack. He was going to attack. So there's a lot of possibilities in this game. I'm hoping I can mentor people into the possibilities. Like I said, you don't have to be part of a clan. Not yet. Clans, there's no clan wars, thank goodness. Not in what am I gonna say? Not in the classic sense. you can meet up in the PvP area and go battle it out. This to the victor go the spoils. You will lose your gear if you lose, which is fine. That's part of battle. That's the excitement. I lost the blessing. You can see how long it's taken me. Blessing actually helps a little bit more, but it's not bad. I don't have to spend the money on it right now. And that's what I have to do. Sorry, goddess. I don't know if it's a goddess or a god. So I kind of play off the goddess part. Because in ancient times, normally there would be a goddess going on. But I don't know. The lore is not as familiar to me as and they're still creating it. The developers are still creating the lore. Although they have some lore in place, most of the lore is about the Inquisitors or the Zebians, that kind of stuff. So not bad, just or not a great amount, just a tiny bit right now, because they're trying to focus on the game right now. And yes, please focus on the game, developers. Please focus on the game. Almost there. Maybe I'll see some on the way home. But until then, let me know what you want to talk about as well. I'll cover pretty much any topic, whether it's cultural in nature, psychological, sociological. My profession is business, so I can really help on questions of interviews, on how back-end systems work in general, and in the for resumes and stuff like that. So keep me in mind. I am on X at I'm not on X. I have no idea. It's like a telephone number. I never call myself, right? Yeah, here we are. I wrote it down. So I'm, of course, D Calciano1 on YouTube. And on X, Calciano Daniel 1 on X. And on LinkedIn, just look me up by Daniel Calciano and you'll find my page. And more than likely, all of my writing. Which I've done. I'm working on another article with the Wu Wei for LinkedIn. I kind of did it opposite this time, where I was going to do Wu Wei. I did it on the live episode, and now I'm going to publish an article and see what people think about the connection between that and leadership. So, yeah, check me out on those platforms. Check out the songs. They're the videos. I use Suno AI. I use Kling. I use Pika. I use Sora. I use Runway. I use DALL-E for some pictures. I use a lot of different things. I mix them up, mash them up, edit them, and then I put it all together. So I hope you enjoy. And for tonight's episode, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode as well. For those of you who are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. I will be back tomorrow night. I usually go around hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the material, sometimes a little bit over. Until then, please enjoy. Oh, just a side note, the intro song and the outro song are both written by Suno AI and myself. So if you enjoy those, give me a thumbs up and a like. With all that said, oh wait, hold on. I had a closing thought for this episode. Let's see what I wrote down. I gotta get to my notes. They're all one scrawl. Here it is. Your mind is an incredible tool, but it's also your greatest trickster. The more you understand it, the more control you have over your choices. With that, be kind to everybody, be safe, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
With every step, a lesson learned. From fire's heat to the fields I've turned. The blade and bow, the forge and flame. I sharpen my skills, I play the game. Each day brings a challenge I must face. I train my hands with careful grace. From alchemy's art to the hunter's way, I'll find the strength to seize the day. I carve my path, I walk the line, in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil, I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. From the herbs I find to the iron I'm will, with each new tool and every lore, I'm stronger now than I was before. I carve my path, I walk the line, in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil, I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. The road is long, but I won't turn back. The lessons I learned keep me on track. With each new skill, the stronger I grow. In the face of the storm, I let my courage show. I've tasted defeat, I felt the sting, but I rise again with each new spring. For knowledge is power, and wisdom the key. I'm forging my path, I'm breaking free. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight.